as well start a minute early. Everybody's quiet. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Certainly wonderful to see you all. As we come together today as God's family and the reunion at the Tombstone Community Congregational Church. Any announcements for the good of the church? Sue?
I'm going to make lasagnas for this potluck for this month on the 25th. And I'm going to bring the lasagnas, and if y'all would bring salad or like Olga said that you can't have it, so she's going to make something for you. Like salad and bread, stuff that goes with lasagna.
Okay. Jesse?
Yes, we'll have a Board of Trustees meeting after services today.
Are you in the Sunday school room?
The Sunday school.
Okay.
As usual.
Okay. And start to pass the word. At the end of the month, we have CareNet is going to do the service. They're from Sierra Vista. We have made them part of our mission project in the church, and looking forward to them coming and speaking to us on that last Sunday when the potluck. Yes, Sydney?
For the luncheon that day, will that be going to CareNet?
No.
Okay.
The church will do what we might do. Billy?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
On that note.
Yeah.
If anyone feels led to give above and beyond their tithes on that day, if they want to write a special check for CareNet, not to replace your tithes, but to go above and beyond, we're certainly doing that.
Right. The church leadership has decided that we would give $500 as a church toward CareNet. And just to let you know, they're a pregnancy center. They do advocate for the woman having the baby. They have a tremendous amount of supplies. Believe me, they help a lot of mothers in their situations. So we love them, and they will be here at the end of the month. So, and God bless this church for its giving heart. Any other? Doc and Nan, good to have you back. Good to have you back. I'm sure you'll have a lot of stories, and I'm sure most of them will be true. Okay, let us worship the Lord together.
We come together to honor the fallen.
They are heroes, those everyday citizens who help one another and those who run towards danger.
The truth will set us free.
Let freedom ring from sea to shining sea.
We remember the attack on our nation.
We remember those who perished on that day 20 years ago.
We remember. Please. The scripture readings today will be 2 Samuel 23, 1 through 7, and John 15, 12 to 17. Now these are the last words of David. The oracle of David, the son of Jesse, the oracle of the man who was praised on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, the sweet psalmist of Israel. The Spirit of the Lord speaks by me. His word is on my tongue. The God of Israel has spoken. The Rock of Israel has said to me, when one rules justly over men, ruling in the fear of God, he dawns on them like the morning light, like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning, like rain that makes grass to sprout from the earth. For does not my house stand so with God? For he has made with me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things and secure. For will he not cause to prosper all my help and my desire? But worthless men are like the thorns that are thrown away, for they cannot be taken with the hand. But the man who touches them arms himself with iron and the shaft of a spear, and they are utterly consumed with fire. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends. For all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, so that you will love one another. Blessed is the hearing and the reading of the Lord's word. Amen.
Amen.
When I find myself in times of trouble, the Son of Mary comes to me. He's speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, He is standing right in front of me. He's speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. He whispers words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, He will be their answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. He is their answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. He is their answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, He is still the light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. The Son of Mary comes to me. He's speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. He whispers words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. He will be the answer, let it be.
From what happened 20 years ago, and I'm sure to us who were alive when JFK was assassinated, you can remember exactly what you were doing. That moment just is burned into our memories, just like 9/11. I just want to give you what I remember. At the time I was back in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, working at the company I worked for 32 years. And I was a union rep in a joint meeting where we were trying to start a drum cell, a cutter drum for on the miners, where we would rebuild them and also build new. So it was a joint effort, quite successful after it was all done, employed a lot of people. And Don Biondi, the manager of the machine shop, and we had the shop was really big. It covered 4 city blocks, big tall ceiling, so lots of room to build upstairs offices. So we were up there assembled in this meeting room, and Don Biondi, our boss of the machine shop, come in, and he said, they just said a plane hit the World Trade Center. And he was hearing it was like a little plane. So we went ahead and had our meeting, probably an hour or more. And I'll never forget this. When we walked out, and let me explain. In the shop, there are high decibel levels, really. Hearing protection was always recommended. You had your machine tools as they machined the products, making noise. You had your pneumatic chipping hammers going away that the welders had. Fork trucks running. Just a lot of sound. Matter of fact, if a foreman wanted to, he could probably just sit in the office and know if there was any productivity for the sound. Well, we stepped out onto the, whatever it was, where we were going to go down the steps, and dead silence in the shop. So all you could hear were radios. I'll never forget it. I can see it right now. Men gathered around those radios, just listening. When we were in a meeting. We weren't aware that what really had transpired. So I returned to my machine. I was running a CNC lathe then, and my buddy, we were in a work cell. Joe Colodi, he had the radio going. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. By that time, the second plane had hit. We were listening to, I believe it was Peter Jennings on this news report. And everybody is just glued. And then all of a sudden he starts saying, oh my gosh, the World Trade South Tower is falling. We're like, oh my word. Well, you know the story from there. Then you have the Pentagon, and then you have Shanksville. And in that, I was 46 years old at the time. I was ready to enlist if they'd have me. I was ready to go into service, for we had been attacked. Who could believe this was happening? Our homeland. You know, we had suspicions of things. You had the 93 bombing in the World Trade Center, but this was so brilliantly evil to do what they did. So then we began to hear of Flight 93, and I heard Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL that killed bin Laden, said this week that the first ones to fight back against terrorism was not the military. It was those on Flight 93. God bless them for what they did. And we know they feel that it probably would have been the Capitol or the White House that plane would have hit. Can you imagine hitting the Capitol and destroying it? The psychological effect that would have been. I mean, they were heroes. They were heroes. Let's roll, they said. Oh my gosh. So in saying that, what amazed me in the aftermath of everything, for the next couple of weeks, and as Billy pointed out, church attendance soared the next week. And it was like a wake-up call for our country. Part of this sugar thing is you're thirsty all the time. So, and I remember at our church seeing a little spike. We were rural church, country, and we were all excited. We had a Sunday night Bible study that we had about 10, 12 attend. And we were excited that this might be the beginning of our country getting back to the Lord. And then, like Billy said, the next Sunday it was gone. It was like a spark, and it didn't ignite. So, good words this morning, Billy, on the importance of us reaching out to hurting people. That is so huge that we are called to do. So, our enemy had united us, at least for a short time. Church attendance exponentially increased. Democrat versus Republican became united, and the unity was being contagious. And then we started to hear the stories of heroism that came forth, individual acts of courage. The police and first responders, firefighters, EMTs, and all who serve us, who ran toward the danger. They saved many. They estimate over 20,000 lives helping people get out of the World Trade Centers. We know we lost almost 3,000 through that tragic day. And I think of the words of Jesus when he said, "Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends." And that's what they did. They laid down their lives for people they didn't even know. How great is that? And isn't that, I pray, the fabric of our country, the fabric of who we are? That's from its birth as a country. We have always gone to save and leave no one behind. May we hold on to that. May we fight to preserve that within our collective self as a country. Thank God for the stand that vets have made and going back in. These congressmen and senators who were military, the efforts that they've put in helping people get out of Afghanistan. God bless them, and may we continue to do the best we can. It is so unbelievable, the change in our country from that time where lawlessness has made so many changes to how we now live and exist. We must hold on to the backbone of justice, or we diminish and fall as a country. And I've shared this story before. I remember, I believe it was in the 90s, went to a tremendous doctor speak at little old Teal College back in Pennsylvania. And he had a question and answer. And that's after the Clinton-Lewinsky thing and, you know, our country being in turmoil. And someone asked him, "What must we do as a country?" And I'll never forget, he pondered a moment and he said, "I'm going to tell you a story." I forget who the first Caesar was in Rome, but when they were conquering the world, the Greeks were in power, so the Greeks were being conquered. And this Caesar had a son who was a brilliant general. And they had a rule in the Roman army that you could not go into battle until the trumpet sounded. He saw a chance to deliver a defeat He went into battle, had an awesome victory, but the penalty for going into battle before the trumpet was death. This Caesar had to decide if this son would live or die. And the rule of law was strong in the beginning of all countries. And he had to put his son to death, even though he was a brilliant general. He had violated a major rule. He said, until we get back to where law means something in our country, we are on the decline. What a prophet he was. So in saying that, our police were revered and esteemed at that time. Now they are defunded, attacked, and ambushed. It is so unbelievable the change in our country has made so many changes to how we live and exist. We must hold on to the backbone of justice, or we diminish and fall. We always must honor our police, our first responders, for they will always run toward danger. They will lay down their lives. Honoring and remembering 9/11, we need to tell the story to our children. And I was really hoping the kids would be here today. We need to tell these stories to our kids who weren't alive. Don't let them learn it from some distorted way as it gets into the education system. We must speak of the heroes that acted so unselfishly to save others. We must remember that America, the symbol of freedom, hope, democracy, was attacked. We rose up to this attack, and eventually we got the bad guys, particularly bin Laden. We must remember every veteran, remember them, honor them, who gave their life, their limbs, and their well-being to protect others and fight for what is right. Regardless of how the war in Afghanistan ended, their sacrifice was not in vain. 20 years we have not had an attack on our homeland. Even the young people of Afghanistan who were born into that newfound freedom, that are experienced the wonderful things that they did with the women gaining ground, receiving equality. Maybe that will be so powerful. And we're already seeing some videos of women getting beaten because they're protesting over there. We need to pray for them and to fight for the freedoms that were gained and are now being lost. God bless our wonderful, wonderful country as we, on this day, remember what happened 20 years ago and is still happening in some of the people today. So I would like to, would anybody feel like they'd like to share something as we remember this time? Kathy.
I was at work on that day, and of course the patients had their TVs on, so everyone was watching. The staff was in rooms watching.
Hey, would you go ahead and speak toward the folks?
And it was just, it was such a devastating feeling that this attack on our country, and it really had an effect on all of our patients in their beds, sick. And everyone just felt so helpless. But a group of us did form a circle, and we did start praying for our country. And we had the patients who wanted to keep doing that.
I gotta say, I thought George Bush was an excellent leader during that time. When he was on the rubble and what he said when he was with the firemen, a number of days later, he threw out the first pitch. And I didn't know it till listening to shows last night. But they didn't want him to throw out the pitch in New York City for safety concerns. And he refused. He says, I will throw it out in New York City. He had a bulletproof vest on, and he threw a perfect strike. That was so inspirational, to me anyway. And I commend him for his leadership during that time. Deb?
I was at work in a small office, we did sales, electronic component sales. And the office next to us was a real estate office. And so they had a little TV in their office, and one of the real estate agents came running over to our office and said, have you guys heard the news? It's all over TV. So we went over there and we watched for a little while and then went back to our office, and our boss sent us home that day. And I remember telling a friend of mine, this is about the Sunday church thing, I said, you know, everybody's going to be united, but I'll bet you it doesn't last 2 weeks. You know, this country has ingrained for so many years this division. And I really was hoping that coming together would last, but I just knew in my heart
Yeah,
that people
Yeah.
prejudices would come back.
yeah, yeah. It's sad, but anybody else? Shelley?
What I remember the most about that whole entire period, because a lot happened, was the silence. There were no planes, no helicopters, there's nothing in the sky. And at the time we lived in, Los Angeles County, 10 million people, there's always planes and there's always helicopters. You hear it so often that you don't hear it anymore until it's silent. And then I was on my way to work, 10 days later, when they started flying again. And we were pulling over the side of the road to get out of our cars to look at the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a symbol to us that we were going to make it.
Yeah.
That was what I remember the most, was that silence.
I'll share this. So when I come home from work at night, I get home do the barn chores and get up to the house about midnight. And out of my bedroom, I had built a cantilever deck that just hung out into nowhere. And I would go out there and pray. And it was a beautiful place to pray. And even though it was rural Pennsylvania, it must have been a major air route. It was nothing during that time to look up and see 3, 4, 5, 6 planes way up there. And so I finished praying. This is the night before it happened. And the thought hit me. What would it be like to look up and not see any planes? Now, I've asked God about this. Okay, then the next day it happens, and then there's no air traffic. Oh, I said, God, were you telling me something? President Bush, yeah, this is Butch Slaker. Yeah, right. They'd have been sending to get me. But that was amazing. That truly was amazing. Thorne. I'll get it right, sir.
I'm from New York. My sister has her office, and she can see the World Trade Center where it stood from her office building. I've been in that room, and I've seen she had a beautiful view of it. And it was one of the things she was really proud of. You can see the World Trade Center from my office. And when I saw it on the news when it was happening, I could see through her eyes the smoke from the first tower. And I could just imagine the horror. And then when the second plane hit, I could just imagine like you, the first thought in my mind was, after having served all the years that I did, I wanted to go back and sign up again, in whatever capacity they would have. And my response, the only thing that I could do at that point was, my way of coping and dealing with it was, I wrote a song for the folks on United Flight 93. But I couldn't bring myself to share it with anybody. That was my coping mechanism. I still have it, and I still haven't shared it.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the